Apollo 13 began as a routine lunar mission that seemed to be going smoothly. The astronauts were traveling toward the moon, completing their work, and even speaking to the public from inside the spacecraft. But a sudden explosion changed everything. The crew lost critical oxygen, electrical power, light, and water, and NASA had to turn a planned moon flight into an emergency mission for survival. The story of Apollo 13 is remembered because the astronauts and mission control faced each danger step by step, using teamwork, careful calculations, and remarkable ingenuity to find a way back to Earth. The first 2 days of Apollo 13 were mostly calm. The crew handled small surprises, followed its schedule, and continued toward the moon. In Houston, Jack K. Swigert worked as the capcom while the astronauts carried out their duties. The mission appeared so ordinary that a controller joked that the spacecraft was in good shape and that nobody would mention boredom for a long time. This peaceful beginning makes the later emergence even more dramatic, because the crew moved from routine work to a fight for survival within minutes. At 55 hours and 46 minutes into the mission, the astronauts completed a television broadcast showing how they lived and worked in weightlessness. They were preparing to close their inspection of the Lunar Module Aquarius and return to the command module, and the crisis began. 9 minutes later, an oxygen tank exploded. The blast caused the second tank to fail, and the command module lost its normal supply of electricity, light, and water. Apollo 13 was about 200,000 miles from Earth, and the crew suddenly faced a situation no one had planned to experience. The explosion did not leave the crew guessing for long. The astronauts felt a sharp bang and vibration, and a warning light appeared on the control panel. Jack Swigert immediately contacted Mission Control and reported that Apollo 13 had a serious problem. The warning lights showed that 2 of the spacecraft's fuel cells were being lost. One appeared empty, while the oxygen in the remaining tank was dropping quickly. The crew and controllers had to interpret incomplete information, while knowing that every minute was reducing their chances of survival. The crew searched for physical evidence that could explain the warning signals. 13 minutes after the bang, Jim Lovell looked out of the left-hand window and saw gas venting into space. The escaping gas confirmed that oxygen was being lost at a high rate from the second tank. The astronauts first tried to close and secure the hatch between the command module and Aquarius because they feared a cabin leak. When the hatch would not solve the problem, they realized that the lunar module could serve as a lifeboat for the entire crew. As the oxygen pressure continued to fall, Mission Control and the crew began speaking openly about the lunar module as a lifeboat. The LM had not been designed to carry the crew through an emergency return to Earth. It was intended to support 2 astronauts for a limited time near the moon, not 3 astronauts for several days in space. Nevertheless, Lovell and Fred Hayes moved quickly through the tunnel into Aquarius, while Swigert remained in the command module to finish essential procedures. The survival plan depended on turning a short-duration lunar vehicle into a temporary home. Tower, oxygen, and water became the central concerns of the mission. The lunar module's batteries held only a limited amount of energy, so Mission Control shut down non-essential systems and created a procedure for sharing power with the command module. Water was even more difficult. The crew was expected to run out of water before reaching Earth, so the astronauts conserved it heavily, reduced their drinking, and ate less. They became dehydrated and lost weight because electrical systems were turned off. The spacecraft also lost heat, making sleep difficult and turning the cabin into a freezing environment. The crew faced a dangerous carbon dioxide problem as it continued breathing inside Aquarius. The available lithium hydroxide canisters from the command module could remove carbon dioxide, but their square shape did not fit the lunar module's round openings. Engineers and controllers in Houston had to design a solution without sending new equipment to space. They studied the materials available to the astronauts and developed an adapter from plastic bags, cardboard, tape, and other simple objects. The crew followed the instructions and built the device, demonstrating how ordinary materials and careful teamwork could solve an extraordinary problem. For hours before landing, the crew separated from the service module and finally saw the damage caused by the explosion. Photographs showed that an entire panel was missing and that wreckage was hanging from the spacecraft. Mission Control had already created a careful procedure for restarting the command module, even though the cold and moisture created a risk of short circuits. After the command module was powered up, the crew left Aquarius and prepared for re-entry. Apollo 13 splashed down safely in the Pacific Ocean near Samoa. The mission never reached the moon, but it became a powerful example of engineering ingenuity, disciplined teamwork, and the determination to bring every astronaut home.